Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, as we race towards 400 episodes of this show, I get a bit reflective because I've been so fortunate to speak with so many great guests over the years. And one of my favourite guests is Ken Dodelin from Capital One, because I think the finance industry gets a really bad rap from people saying that the industry as a whole is very slow to adapt to technology and meeting the demands of tech-hungry consumers. But I've spoken to Ken a few times now, and he helped Capital One ensure that they were the first bank to be able to use their services by simply asking Amazon's Alexa a question. And those questions could be, hey Alexa, what is my bank balance, for example? Instead of thinking of a bank as an institution that holds your money for you until you actually need it, it seems that more and more consumers are now expecting banks to take on somewhat of a mentor role, lead the way with technology, and also proactively recommending ways that customers can be saving more, spending more efficiently, and equally teaching consumers how to leverage those latest technology trends, whether they be chatbots, virtual assistants, applications, etc. So when I heard that this is exactly what Capital One were trying to achieve, I asked Ken back onto the show today, and thankfully he said yes. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way back to Washington, DC, so we can speak with Ken Dodelin from Capital One about their tech and digital strategy. So a big warm welcome back to the show, Ken. But for anybody that's new, can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Ken Dodelin, and I am the VP of Conversational AI Products at Capital One. And in that capacity, I have the great privilege of leading a integrated team of very talented product design, technology, and marketing folks through this journey of evolving the way we interact with customers from the traditional graphical user interfaces to a more AI-driven conversational interface. And it's a ton of fun, and we're having a blast.
Well, the last time we spoke, I think Capital One were leading the way by enabling your customers to bank using their voice with Amazon Alexa. I mean, how was that received? Has that been regarded as a big success?
So let's see, we were the first bank to enable customers to access their financial accounts on the Alexa platform back in March of 2016, and we've continued to evolve that experience on that platform, both by adding additional use cases. So in addition to your basic card and bank questions, we added the ability to ask questions about your auto loans and even pay your bill. We also added the ability to query a feature we called how much did I spend, which is about, hey, how much did I spend at Starbucks last month? Or how much did I spend at Target last month? And just enabling folks through a conversational interface to get those quick answers to questions that might be top of mind and help make them smarter about where they are with their finances. The skill has been pretty well received, and we've even ported that experience, that voice experience, over to the Cortana platform in the new Invoke device that they just launched. And so now customers who want to access their Capital One accounts through Cortana and have an Invoke built by Harman Kardon, they can do that as well. So we're excited about continuing to go where the customers are. And that, of course, sets us up to explore other interfaces from Microsoft across Windows and their tablets, even Xbox, whatever you want to chase down the road. But we're excited about bringing them on as a great partner.
Fantastic. I mean, one of the things that I love about what you're doing at Capital One is that you're continuously pushing the envelope and fully embracing digital as a company. I mean, only the other day I was reading about Eno, which is the first natural language SMS chatbot from a US bank. And I think it's been in pilot for the last 7 months and become available to millions of Capital One customers earlier this month. But can you tell me more about Eno and also how that's been received by your customers?
Happy to, yeah. So we were really excited a couple of weeks ago to take Eno out of its invite-only pilot. We had about a little more than 100,000 customers interacting with Eno over SMS using natural language chat. And now, like you say, it's available to the millions of Capital One card and bank customers. The reception to that product has been tremendous. It's funny, when you launch an app, it comes with a certain level of infrastructure, including an app store with app reviews and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's no analog for an SMS AI that exists as a chatbot. So we kind of had to stand up our own. So we have a page on our website now, happy to share the link with you and your listeners of what all the customers are saying about their initial interactions with Eno. And it's fascinating. People really enjoy the natural language interface. They like the speed with which they can get access to information. And there's also a love for the way you communicate over text, which, by the way, can include emojis, right? It was very important for us. We thought it would be a very stodgy old bank thing to do, to launch an interface in chat and then not understand emojis, which is, by the way, like how half of all Instagram posts include an emoji. So yeah. we saw that kind of data and said, all right, we better understand them. And so you can actually pay your bill now through text, and instead of typing the rigid like confirm or nothing else to be able to confirm your payment, you can just send us a thumbs up emoji. And what's been fascinating for us is to see that more than, I think it's around 60% of customers, when they confirm their payment through Eno, use the thumbs up emoji, which is a new way of customers interacting with their bank. It's a small thing, but it's an important thing about the customer relationship and how we're evolving with the way people speak rather than requiring them to speak like bankers.
So what kind of information about their Capital One accounts can users actually get from Eno? I think it's amazing that you can actually get this information through emojis as well as text, depending on your preference. But what kind of information can you get? And I'll just, if you could give me a few examples there and what emojis you would use.
Sure. So it's a dynamic product in that Eno's getting smarter from every conversation, and it's continually expanding its capabilities. Right now, you can ask for things like your balance, which is our most frequent request. And by the way, I'll say a unique thing about the conversational interface is the number of different ways people ask for their balance has been a surprise for us. So Eno has correctly mapped more than 2,200 different ways that people have asked for the simple request of how much money do I have, or how much, what's the balance of my account? Because they use different adjectives. Sometimes they just send us a $ or a money bag emoji, all these types of things, and we need to be able to understand them. And so we use supervised machine learning to ensure that Eno continues to get better and better at understanding customers. I'll tell you, there's a suite of capabilities from what's my balance, recent transactions, available credit, the basics you would expect. And then there's also a capability for Eno to help you navigate our other digital products. And so if you say something like, hey, how do I get a credit limit increase? If Eno doesn't have the dialogue management to manage that in the chat right now, Eno will just give you the link that says, go to this exact page, and you will be able to handle that. And that's a good meshing of the conversational interface with the GUI that has a nice result for customers. On the point of, hey, this great variety of things we get from people who have a variety of ways of communicating with us, we've been looking at the most frequently used intents. Every customer utterance, we call it, gets mapped to an intent by our natural language processing. And so, as I mentioned, the most frequent thing is balance, people just checking their status. One of the things that's been fascinating for us is that the number 3 intent has been thank you. And when you think about that, there's no reason to thank a robot.
Yeah.
It's not like interacting with a person, but yet people are projecting their human interactions to this interface with Eno, and there's a whole body of research about the ramifications of that and how it's evolving the customer and company relationship, and even the human-machine interaction. And so we're spending a lot of time thinking about what that means and how we can leverage it for a great result for our customers and our business.
2,200 ways to say what is my balance. That's just blown my mind. So I've got to ask, I mean, before that launch, I mean, what else did you learn from that Eno pilot? I mean, was it a real eye-opener?
So the thank you piece was a big eye-opener.
Yeah.
We've certainly been learning a lot about the diversity in which people communicate with us. The other thing that we spent a lot of time on before launch that has been really well received by a number of folks has been the character. And so our conversational AI design team, in partnership with our brand marketing team, did a great job of thinking through what it means to create an AI and give it a name and any kind of visual representation. And some of the principles they were working backwards from were hey, we don't want to perpetuate the narrative that's out there that or the stereotype that all digital assistants have to be female. And so we sort of landed at a place where we wanted to have a gender neutral AI. And we also had a number of personality principles, like not being judgmental, being helpful, but also being human-like in its communication. And so all of this has resulted in a character. And then the visual representation, we steered clear from giving it a full, like human-like persona visually, because the moment you do that, then you're choosing an age or race and other things that might unlock people's unconscious biases. And so we were very intentional about, if you look at Eno's visual representation, it's a chat bubble with a smile on it, right? And so Eno is whatever people conjure up in their minds beyond that. And the response has been very grateful from a lot of different folks that we haven't leaned into that stereotype, and that we're representing Capital One's inclusive culture in our consumer-facing products.
I'm so glad you've just said that, because I think we all pick up our phone now and we're used to, I don't know, getting a film on Netflix or getting a cab on Uber or just asking for our balance, all from our smartphone. But I think most people have a very little appreciation of all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes to deliver it seamlessly. And even something simple like that about what the interface will look like and all the thought that goes into it. People just don't even think about that, do they?
Oh, no. And frankly, they shouldn't have to. What we keep top of mind is, yes, there is a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes, but ultimately the consumer just cares about how we can help them better manage their money, take stress out of money management, and achieve their financial goals and be more financially resilient. And we feel like AI is putting us on a great path to do all of those things. The other piece about it that I think we're getting into with AI is more, we had this construct for decades where we would allow customers to personalize experiences, which makes two human error-filled assumptions. The first being that we can accurately choose what the options for the customer should be, and then that the customer knows enough about themselves and their behavior and achieving the goal that they'll choose the right option for whatever it is they're trying to do. And with machine learning, we're going to get to a place in the not too distant future where we just set up the goal for the customer and leaving them in control, let the machine figure out how to optimize things. And I think that's going to be a powerful change in the way we interact with our customers in a way that benefits them to a large degree.
I mean, where else do you see this heading, and what are your thoughts on what the future actually has in store for conversational AI right across the board?
I think there's a couple pieces here. One is taking the experience to customers where they are, and so again, for decades we've stood up websites and apps that live in a place that customers have to come to do things, and very often, even when we send them messages, it's here's some information, now go deal with it at one of the places we've stood up. I think the conversational interface allows us to take both the information and bring it to people in lots of different places, and then allow them to take action or ask questions right in that channel. So, an SMS, for example, no longer do we just sort of say, hey, your balance is due over SMS, go deal with it on our website or app, but you can just respond and say, oh, right, I want to pay my bill right now. And you don't wind up on a to-do list that gets forgotten and so forth. So I think that's a big part of it, going where the customers are, and then building up the capabilities to be helpful, to have more than just a presentation of navigable information, but to be able to present information in a smarter way that enables customers to retain control and also be better with their money.
So as virtual assistants and digital tools continue to become a larger part of today's world, do you think that consumers' expectations of what a bank can and should do is also continuing to evolve? And if so, I mean, how hard is it to keep up to speed with these demands?
Absolutely. So we come at this space with a lot of humility, and we're pretty confident of one thing, which is that all the things that we've done to date will probably look like child's play 3 years from now. And so we feel the pressure to continue to improve the experience for customers. And even the feedback we get right now, we recognize some of it is like, hey, this chatbot worked. It understood my name and it was able to do something. How great is that? The novelty of it will wear off, and people will get more into the utility that it can provide, both reactively and proactively. And so that's the game we're in. How fast can we go in meeting those evolving customer expectations?
And I think there are many other establishments, whether they be banking industry or, I don't know, retail even, that still have one foot firmly in the past. I mean, do you think they're going to struggle if they don't just hurry up and embrace digital too?
Oh, I think there's certainly a lot of disruption going on across all industries, driven by technology, and in banking in particular. I think there's an evolution happening here in the way that customers interact with their banks, and even in sort of the human-machine interaction that's going to play out across the board. And so the ability to converse with customers may, again, we come at it with a lot of humility, may be a differentiator between banks in the future. And we feel like it'll be an important place for us to play to be on the front of that if it takes shape.
Now, I have been following you guys for some time now, and we've talked about Amazon Alexa. Now we've got Eno, the chatbot, but that's only just half of what you guys do. And you do now have a wide suite of digital tools. But are you finding that there's any additional challenges in keeping all those platforms up to date across all the operating systems?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we have a large suite of digital tools. Our mobile app just this year won a J.D. Power Award for being the best one in the industry, which we're very proud of. Our conversational interfaces continue to get great feedback from customers. And you're right, how do you, as you go out to lots of destinations, how do you provide a consistent user experience that meets a certain quality bar and has the efficiency of a common back end to serve all of them? And many kudos to our technology team here at Capital One, because they have taken a platform approach to this, and we certainly want to be able to move quickly in standing up and potentially even shutting down new channels as customers gravitate towards the ones that are most useful to them. And so it will be a new challenge for us to be able to go where the people are, because they go lots of different places. And so we're gearing up for exactly that challenge.
So what's next on the horizon for Capital One? Are there any other tech plans that you might be able to share, or even just leave a few teasers with us today?
We continue to evaluate other places to put our AI. We have three things we look at as we're evaluating new channels. One is the scale of the audience. Two is the maturity of the platform and how easy it is for us to move a great experience onto it. And then three is something that's very important to us as a bank. How is customer data being treated in that new environment, and is it meeting our standards for data privacy and security? And so we've found great partners already in Amazon and Microsoft who've checked all those boxes for us, and we'll continue to evaluate the landscape to try to find others who can allow us to bring this great conversational AI experience to our customers.
Well, a big thank you for coming on. But before I do let you go, can you remind the listeners of your website URL, and also how they can contact a member of your team if they have any questions, just to keep people up to date with the developments at Capital One, or even how to use Alexa or Eno with their account?
Sure. So certainly we have our apps in the Android and Apple app stores. We also have Eno available to be enrolled for all of our customers at CapitalOne.com/Eno. And so we're having fun. We're looking forward to learning from more conversations with Eno, and can't wait to come back on the show sometime and tell you what's new with us.
Definitely. I'd love to get you back on, because I think we've only just scratched the surface here as virtual assistants and digital tools continue to become a much, much larger part of the world today. And like we touched upon earlier, consumers' expectations of what a bank can and should do is also continuing to evolve. So I think this story is going to go and go and go on. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk about that today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Neil.
What I love about both Ken and Capital One here is that they're clearly leading the way with tech and embracing conversational interfaces, chatbots, etc. But they remain remarkably humble about what they do and their achievements. But as consumers, we have little regard for the complexities around chatbots, virtual assistants, applications, etc. But as Ken pointed out there in the podcast, why should we? But I'd love to hear what you love and what you hate about your bank right now. Whether that be Capital One or whether it be another bank. And also what tech you would like to see and also use with your bank. I mean, is it chatbots? Is it using Amazon Alexa? And also, how do you see this tech evolving? Now, I am the easiest guy in the world to find, but just in case my email is not ingrained in your memory yet, it's techblogwriter@outlook.com, and my Twitter is @NeilC.Hughes. So please keep those tweets, DMs and emails coming in. And if you have no particular opinion on your bank and the technology used, a few other questions I'd like to leave you with today. If anyone out there has the new iPhone, what do you think of True Tone? I mean, what are your thoughts? I want to hear your opinions on this one because I'm still undecided. It's on. I find it a little bit too aggressive. I turn it off. It's a little bit too cold and the colour's a little too blue. So I just wanted to tech chat with one of my listeners and see what they thought on that. And also, if you have any ideas about a tasteful show sponsor so I can continue producing 30 shows a month, I'd really appreciate that. But it's time for me to check my bank now and see if I can afford to eat next week. So a genuine thanks for listening from me, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.